Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And in this series we're going to be talking about Mars in the houses. And in this episode we're going to be talking about Mars in the 8th house, having your Mars in the 8th house. Okay, and the first thing we're going to go over is Mars. Okay, what is Mars? Mars is the planet of energy, but energy in the most direct sense, okay? This is how we become an existence. It's through energy, how we're able to move and be alive is all through energy. And this is Mars, okay? Mars is the energy, it's the power, okay? It's ignition, okay? It's the gas, okay? All of that is Mars. So Mars rules things such as adrenaline, movement, action, okay? All of this that we have, okay? How we become an existence in reality, how we become alive is through energy, through Mars. Is through the energy that we have, that we can't see but have. This is how we move our bodies. Okay, it rules as our adrenaline, and also with that comes our instincts, our impulses, okay, our sexual energy. All of that is Mars. Mars is the warrior, okay? It's known as the warrior planet, how we take action, our anger, our temperament, all of that. Then you have that Mars, and then you have the 8th house, okay? The 8th house is the house of death, transformation, hell, dark emotions, okay? Your subconscious, things that are hidden, the occult, taboo, okay? Your deepest, darkest fears, okay? It's also the house that causes the hugest transformations in a person. So when you have to level up and truly change, the 8th house is the biggest house for that, because it's transformation. It traumatizes you to the deepest level that you have no choice but to truly transform. So anytime you're trying to level up, you got to go through the darkness, and that's the 8th house, okay? You got to face your fears. It deals with the taboo, deals with your fears, your dark emotions, your depression, everything. With that being said, people with Mars in the 8th house, the first thing I have to say is that these are very intense people, emotionally intense people. Now, 8th house people, I don't care if you have Moon, Mercury, Uranus, whatever, you're going to be an intense person. 8th house people are intense in general, okay? But when you have Mars here, this fiery planet about anger, adrenaline, ooh, you take a lot of action. I'm going to just be honest. You take a lot of action on these dark emotions that you have. There's just a lot of intense energy because, like I said, 8th house people, when you have planets in 8th house, you know, you are tapped into your dark emotions, your deep emotions, the emotions people want to go away from because they're so dark, you know. You're in there because you're meant to face your fears. But with Mars here, all this adrenaline fighting, you can explode with these dark emotions. So not only are you tapped in, because 8th house will have you tapped into your dark emotions, with Mars here, Mars will have it explode. It'll have you take action on these dark emotions. It's like a volcano. You know, it explodes, it erupts. So Mars in the 8th house people, very intense people, very, very emotionally intense people, very fiery, and it can become dangerous because you can take a lot of actions on your dark emotions. Also, with Mars in the 8th house, power is a huge theme with this placement, okay? Power. These people are very powerful people. And that's because, one, when we're talking about the 8th house deals with a lot of oppression, people pushing your boundaries, oppressing you, telling you what to do, superiors. So with people like this, because they've dealt with so much powers like against them, they fight back. And with Mars in this placement, it allows you to fight back because these people don't just get oppressed from the energy, they fight back, okay? That's that Mars energy. So these people, again, they're like super powerful in the sense that they don't like to be under people, okay? Mars in the 8th house people, they're not going to do well with superiors because they've gone through so many traumatic experiences. And because, again, like I said, they have that Mars energy, they do fight back. They do bark back, you know? And with that being said, you know, it puts them in a position where they should be in power. Mars in eighth house people, they do better being in power positions, being bosses themselves. They should be bosses, okay? Mars in eighth house people, they very much are people that are better off in a position where they dominate or where they have power, where they are superior, because they usually fight back the power, you know? So people like that should be in power. So that's a huge aspect to understand, because these people aren't the people, in my opinion, to piss off. Like, you don't want to piss off a Mars in 8th house person, because they have a lot of pumped up energy and they have a lot of motivation to fight back any type of oppression or any type of energy that's trying to belittle or push them. Okay, so these are real fighters, and like I said, these are very dominant, powerful people. These people are not meant to be played with, meant to be joked around. They're very serious, very intense, and there are fighters. They have a lot of energy, you know. Mars, I feel like, does really well in the 8th house, despite all the danger. Because in the 8th house, you have to be a fighter. You have to be a warrior. You're dealing with the darkest energies, your biggest fears, all of that in order to transform. So when you have this Mars energy, which makes you a fighter, you're a true warrior. Like, I feel like Mars in the 8th house, this is the planet that allows you to truly, well, others too. I can't say this is, but this is one of the planets that allows you to be a warrior here and fight back, you know, the oppression and the demons and slay them, you know. I'm thinking of, like, you know, how Buffy the Vampire Slayer slayed those demons. Well, with Mars in the 8th house, it allows you to really slay your demons and attack them, okay? So you can be careful, because this can be explosive. Like I said, these are not the people to piss off. Mars in 8th house people, these people are very dominant, very powerful, have a lot of aggression within them. And it's it can be well disciplined depending on how healthy they are. But getting these people pissed off is, you know, you're gonna get a huge pushback, okay? These people aren't afraid to fight back. They're very courageous. They have a lot of pumped up energy. And if you tick them the wrong way, they will explode, okay? So yes, that is Mars in 8th house, you know. That's a very big deal. Power. Power is a huge aspect with them, and people with this energy should be in power positions. Just don't abuse it, because there are positive, healthy ways of expressing power, and then there's negative ways. So people like this can get into power and abuse it a lot, okay? Take a lot of that aggression and abuse the power. So, you know, it's a balance here, but power is this is a huge power placement, okay? Definitely, okay? Because we explained that in the 7th house, how Mars in the 7th house causes a lot of tension with people. 8th house is no different. 8th house is also a social house, but these are the relationships that create strong bonds. So Mars in 8th house people, do not be surprised of, again, coming across a lot of people who do try to push your boundaries, okay? This is a very social house. It deals with other people, but in a strong level, okay? These are like strong bonds, strong relationships that are almost contractual, okay? So yes, you're gonna have some strong enemies dealing with Mars in the 8th house, because the 8th house deals with your enemies, okay? And Mars is going to intensify this energy by causing confrontation. Okay, these people can have lots of confrontation with people of power. So, you know, your boss, your manager, your teacher, you know, your parents, your relationships, your husband, your wife, people that you have relationships with. You know, you can have strong confrontation with them because of the power dynamics, okay? So be careful with your relationships, because like I said, the 8th house is a house that deals with your strong bonds, your relationships, but in a strong bonding level. So it could be marriage, it could be family, it could be your superior, whatever it is. Be careful of that, because there's going to be confrontation with this Mars in 8th house. So be aware of that. And because it's the 8th house, these relationships are so deep, you know, they do cause tension. They do cause a lot more anger and a lot more, you know, confrontation, because the relationship is so deep already. you know, even if. Also be careful with your actions when it comes to this placement, because there's lots of impulsiveness, okay? Injuries, accidents can also occur with this placement with Mars in the 8th house. Because again, Mars is a very action planet, very action orientated, and the 8th house deals with a lot of taboo, a lot of places we're not supposed to go, a lot of places where we can't see. It's the hidden, it's the darkness, so you have to be more careful. So with Mars in this house, there's a lot of impulses. So, you know, there's a lot of not being careful taking place. So you could put yourself into lots of situations that are very impulsive, that aren't good for you because of your very impulsive action. Also, with Mars in the 8th house, the 8th house is the house of sex, but deep sex, okay? Bonds, okay? That create bonds. So when you have Mars, an already sexual planet in this 8th house of deep, dark sex, you have someone who's very sexual, okay? Mars in the 8th house is a very sexual placement. A lot of people have this energy as well too, okay? So that is something to also be aware of. And that's also why you shouldn't be careful of, you know, going on your impulses, because you can take a lot of impulsive actions and then get into trouble later and not realize it because you had so much pent up energy. So definitely a very impulsive placement. And yes, people with this placement also have very high sexual energy as well too. Okay, with the 8th house and that Mars adding extra adrenaline, you know, these people are very high sexual people, high sexual energy people in general. So that is Mars in the 8th house. Okay, this is a very, I like to call danger placement. Not danger, but just be careful because it's hot. And there's a lot of confrontation, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of strong energy in this placement because, like I said, it's literally like a volcano, okay? But it's gonna explode. So be careful with the danger, but that is Mars in the 8th house, all right? These people are kind of taboo, you know? They like to go into like the dark areas of life, like they like to look into BDSM. They could be into taboo, scary movies, creepy things, just anything that's considered taboo. These people are very motivated and have a strong impulse to it. So be careful with that too, because you never know what you find. But yes, you know, these people are dangerous, but it could be in a fun way. But just be careful, okay, to not explode and totally destroy everything because it's a very explosive placement. So that is Mars in the 8th house. I hope you guys enjoyed that and be back for some more. And if you did enjoy book a reading with me, I do birth natal chart readings. You just have to email me and we could go forward with that. Also, check out my music on Spotify, Apple, and here on YouTube. And I'll check you guys out on the next video.
Endlessly, what's my perfect, the truth, the mystery?